everybody, I'm Joey Paul and I'm an indie author, and welcome back to my channel. I write young adult fiction across a variety of genres, and if you think that might interest you, then think about subscribing below. I will just apologise, I have a horrible cold, and so if I sound stuffed up, that's why. But I still wanted to do a video today, so I thought I would go ahead and do it. I have always been a writer who doesn't really extensively plan when it comes to drafting, but having recently finished both of my last drafting projects for a while, I'm taking some time off and diving into revising some older projects that need a lot of work done to them. I do plan a lot for revision, and I thought that I would give you some of my way of doing things and some tips on how to manage it yourself. So number 1. Reading through is step 1. For me, someone who has an extensive backlist of projects that are only at draft 1, I forget a lot of what's happened, and so I can't make the plan until I've actually read through the project in its entirety. For me, this means setting myself up with the app on my computer, making notes for every chapter, and also keeping an eye on things that might need to change a lot, as well as the things that only need tweaks here and there. I don't try and force things, as I'll talk about in a moment. Sometimes you don't see the thing or have the idea until you've been through it all a few times, and that's normal. When I draft, I have a minimal chapter planner, but when I revise, I like to have a scene-by-scene breakdown. This can be extensive for some drafts, but not so much for others, but it all starts with those notes when I first read through it. I'm trying to look at the draft with fresh eyes and also get to the point where I feel like I can see the twists and turns coming and can work out what works and what doesn't, especially from that first read through. Because I've taken a break from the draft, it means that I will often notice things that don't make sense even as I read through, and it's this first vital step that I start to sense what works and what doesn't. Now sometimes I'll make a note of a problem and find it is resolved later down the line, but the point is to make sure that I note it down, because if it isn't, then future me is going to have to be solving it. Number 2. Getting ideas later down the line. Like I mentioned before, sometimes you won't have the perfect way to resolve things until you're a few more drafts deep, and for me, that's normal. I know for some people they won't make any changes until they have everything sorted, and if that works for you, then great, but for me, I need to be soaking up the draft to be able to really work through ideas that might help me craft a better, more cohesive story. For this, I'll have note cards the larger ideas down on, and sometimes they get used and sometimes they don't, but I won't deny that other times I have been hit by a great idea right at draft 5 or 6 when I was close to calling myself done, and that sometimes can be when the best ideas come in. I know with Invisible I didn't have the idea for the opening sequence until I was about 2 drafts from done, but it worked and I was very happy with it. The point is not to starve yourself too much. You know how you work creatively best, so you get to be the judge of what works for you and what doesn't, but don't shut yourself off to new ideas. Sometimes they can be perfect for that book and you wonder why it took you so long to see it. Number 3. Approaching the changes. I generally don't start making changes until draft 3 or 4. I don't mean I don't make any, but the big ones, the ones that will shift the narrative around, that's when I start making them. That said, I do sometimes find inspiration hits and I already know what needs to happen and how to switch things around, and if that's the case, then I will jump in and start slotting this bit here and that bit there and all of that. I try not to be too strict with myself when it comes to making the changes, because I find that just stifles me. It adds to the stress and inhibits me from making the right decisions for when it comes to revising. If you're someone who works best with strict deadlines, then you do you, but for me, I like having a looser approach, and it's one of the reasons I've taken this time off drafting, to allow myself to really immerse myself in the stories and make the changes at my own speed. And number 4, deciding when you're done. Of course, there comes a time when you're actually done. I know for some people they can get caught up in making all the changes and never actually finish the draft. Either they get overwhelmed or they keep having new ideas and thinking that this one will be the perfect one. If that's you, then my advice is to set yourself a deadline, make it clear that you will be done at draft whatever. It's worked for me in the past and has allowed me to branch out and really think about those changes and why I'm making them before I get lost in the whole revision process. You are the only person who could know when you're done, but sometimes you can also be your own worst enemy when it comes to revisions and being critical, and in that case, try reaching out to beta readers and the like, people you trust, to give you good, the bad, and the ugly, and take on their feedback. It's helped me before to not get too caught up in spending forever on a draft and doing more damage than good. So there we go, those are my 4 tips really, and 4 ways of doing things when it comes to making a plan for revision. Like I said, I'm in the midst of doing lots of revision right now. I think I have 3 revision projects, 1 editing project, and it will eventually go to more than 3 revision projects. And it's a bit nuts because I've not done this before, so I'm not really sure how I work, but so far it's going okay. So how do you approach revisions? Let me know in the comments down below. So that's all I've got time for today. If you want to support my channel, you can comment, like, or subscribe. I post new videos on Thursdays. You can find me all over social media, and my books are available everywhere, and you can also sign up for my newsletter. And don't forget to pick up Invisible, which is the first in a young adult dystopian quartet. And also don't forget to grab a ticket for Wonderland in Nottingham in July 2025, where I'll be signing books. All the links for which are listed below. Thanks for watching, and remember to keep writing. Bye.